Let's hope it works. All right. So, for those who are just joining, we started a conversation about modules in JavaScript, right? The reason why we have modules in JavaScript is largely why, because we want to break our application down into smaller chunks, smaller chunks. So, if your application is 10,000 lines long, then it will be slow before the application loads. Then, is my internet dragging? Let me also confirm that. Is my internet dragging for any reason? Um, okay, because I'm using a MiFi today. I'm not in my proper place, so I've not moved. I'm changing place as well, so I've not moved my proper internet down to where I am currently. So, but let's hope I don't have any issues with internet. So, as I was saying earlier, when you break down your application into smaller chunks, it makes it easy for your application to what to load. And there are different approach to models in JavaScript. The first one being like the AMD era and require JS. So I asked earlier that has anybody seen something require before? If you have seen a require open bracket, right, and they put some things there, that is common when we are writing Node.js. That is really really common when we're writing Node.js because uh, because that is like the ways by which I don't think there's anybody in the lobby. I've added everybody here, so that's why I have this interface open. If they're in the lobby, I'll see them here. I think I've added everybody to the call, so maybe they can try to rejoin again, and then I'll be able to add them. So as I was saying earlier, we have the require JS, which is from AMD. Then we moved into the common JS era as well, and then from the common JS era, we moved into UMD as well. So if you want a story about all of this as well, you can read javascript.info. Javascript.info covers all of this detail as much as possible. Again, the modern one that has been standardized is what? The modern one that has been standardized is what? ESM, that is the ECMAScript model. That is the one that we are all using. And the two keywords for the ESM is what? Again, I think I've said this before. What are the two keywords? The two keywords for the ESM is what? You see what? Import and you see export. Those are the two keywords that you would see more often when we are talking about what? ESM. Again, do we all understand those basics? Do we all understand basics, right? And I can move a little bit further. Okay, so back to the JS node here, right? The key detail here, like I said, of modularity is it is an aspect of software development, right? It helps us to break programs into smaller interchangeable components that can be used in different parts. So the export keyword labels a variable and function that should be accessible from outside the current model. Then the import allows the usage of those exported ones in other models. So modules have come to JavaScript relatively before, but there were no modules in JS. Every script, before now, right? How many of us know this, right? That the right way to write JavaScript, when let's say you want to do a lot of things in JavaScript, how many persons have written JavaScript in that era? I don't know. I doubt if many of you would have, where you have maybe 5 script tags. Has anybody done anything that looks like that before? Where you have 5 script tags. I think virtually most of you would not have done that. But in the maybe like in the late eras of like 2010, 2012, right? To have multiple things in your JS project, you would have tons of script tag. And the problem with tons of script tag is that the order is important. How many of you agree with that? The order is important. Because if you are supposed to use one before the other and you mix that up, there will be a problem. So that became a lot of problem, and that's why they thought about, okay, how do we make this approach a little bit easy, right? How do we make the approach a little bit easy? So for example now, if we have a file called sayhi.js, and we put this function inside of it, right? It means that I am exporting out this function. Does that make sense? So here I am appending export to the function, which means I'm exporting. Or I could write it this way, have the function and just export a object out of that place. And this two approach of exporting here is what is called what? A named export, right? So it means that if I use the named export, then I have to use what? A named import. That is, I have to specifically name it the same thing it was exported with, such that what? It can be imported correctly. The name is very important, and this curly bracket is also very key here. Does that make sense? I want to believe that makes sense. So the next thing here is what? Importing. So it means that what? Importing is the method by which you make exported code available in a file, right? So you can always import like this. So you would agree that what? This say hi and this say bye, they must have been exported somewhere before I can use this import to import them. And this import here of say hi and say bye, they are what? Named what import, named import. And then the other one is what? The import asterisk has. That is, this here is a renamed what? A renamed import. That is, as we are importing, we are renaming it. I don't know why this is messing up, right? But what I largely have here, right? What I largely have here is something I can copy here. Let's see, somebody is knocking. Let's see. So what I have here, let me open my IDE as well. So let's open my IDE. I can't remember. I usually forget the particular place we're working from. I can't remember the particular place we're working from, but I'll find that. But I think we're working from, is it JS Hub now or To Do Hub? I can't even remember whether it was JS Hub or To Do Hub that we were working on before. But let's just confirm. Let's confirm. I think it's this one here. Okay, so we have everything a little bit scattered here. I don't like to have terminal open, but can we see my IDE here? Can we all see the IDE? I want to believe we all can see the IDE. Okay, good. So here we have, I wanted to show you what I copied. And let's show you what I copied. So I copied something here. So what I copied is what? Import star as what? Say, and there is a say.js here. So now the things I'm trying to explain here is this. The first one is what? A named what? Import. This first one, that is, you must name that import before you can use it. And the example of the named import is the one we have at the top of our to do here. Does that make sense? That is, it means that somewhere before, somebody must have created a function and do what? A named export. Then gives us the power to also do what? A named import. So another example is I can create a new file and I can have what? A say dot what? .js. And if I have a say.js file, and then we can, let's just copy a function from the previous page. Let's just copy a function from the previous page. So let's copy this here, and then we can use this here. So if I paste this here, then this is what now? A named what? Export. So it then means that what? I can then import this what? This say.js right in my code. So how do I import this now? Can somebody help me to import it? So I can do what? Import, right? Then your curly braces, right? Now the extension is important. The extension say.js, right? So inside say.js, what am I looking for? I have what? Say what? Hi, right? And that is what I'm looking for. and then I can then console.log what. I can then use the say hi, because the say hi is what? Is a function. The say hi is a function. I don't know. Does this make sense? So this is what the usage of the say hi, and this is what the named import. So somebody is knocking the door. Let's see. We have somebody knocking the door. Or is there a comment? Right. I think the population here is half the class. It's almost half the class. Half the class. Did I say half the class? No. I mean half the number of people that usually come. Half the, because I think our last live class was around 60 something. Is that correct? I think our last live class was 60 something. So and we have roughly 26. So let's say 40 something percent of the class is here. Right. So somebody asked a question. So is the model the backbone of how things are imported in JavaScript? Yes, it's the backbone. So if there's something else more than the backbone, yeah, you can give it to it. So because you will notice in your React, import is scattered everywhere. How many of you have observed in everything that you have been doing or seeing from like the LMS, import everywhere, right? So it's a lot of modularization. And modularization is like a big word when it comes to large software development, right there. So do we all understand named import and export? Let me get our yes there. Do we all understand named import and export? I think I've done one in the last class. I've done another one into this class as well. That works as well. So the next one is to show you let's see if I want to show you the renamed import. So this syntax allows you to import all the exported code as a module and assign it to what? An object. This is useful when you have multiple import in a single file. So the other one that I want to show you now is what? Let's say inside of this, say here we have another, let's just duplicate this. And then we have, did I just duplicate this wrongly? So here we have another one here, and we can say say bye, and then we can say user, and then we can say bye, right? And now what this means is, if I want to import all of this, I could use a renamed import to get the two together. So example is, if you look at what I have here, we are importing say hi, but I am renaming it as what? We are importing say hi, but I am renaming it to be what? Hi. And I am importing say bye, but I am renaming it as what? Bye. And this is a perfect example that showcase what? Our renamed import. What did I call them now? Renamed what? Import. So if I go down to the index.js here, I can paste what I copied there, and then I can delete this, and I can rename this as what? This is what? Our renamed import. So how does the rename import work? The only key thing with the rename is what? We then have the power to what? To rename instantly. We then have the power to rename instantly. So we don't have to do anything on the export side of things, right? We just go ahead and just rename. And the key thing here is this as. The key thing is the has that helps us to achieve what the renaming. Okay, and then the last thing I want to also teach here is what we have the import as asterisk. Now the import asterisk. So the import asterisk means what? Import everything. So let's say I want to import everything inside what? The say.js file. I'll say import everything and give it a name called what? Say. From where? From dot forward slash what? Say dot what? Dot js. So now this here is what? I think it should be what? Import what? Everything. And I think the thing here is what? Star means everything. So this say will become an object. Say here will become what? An object. Say there will become what? An object. And to use it now, we can then use it in this way and say dot what? Dot what? Say dot what? So you will see that automatically these two functions inside of this say.js are popping up. Right, say dot say by, right, say by, right, and what you can say polu, and then you can also what? Semicolon this, and we can say dot what? Say what? Hi, and then you can what? Say taller, right, or let's say Jane. So this is what the variant of import, that is, you can use the named import, or you can use the renamed import, or you can what? Import everything right here. And I think there's one more here for the import. There's one more here for the import, which is what? The default what? The default what? Import. But before I go to the default import, do we understand these three variants of what? Importing? Do we understand the three variants of imports? So is this import that is used when devs are working on external module like Cloudinary? That's an interesting question. So if you're using everything media, which part don't you understand, please? Before I maybe attempt to answer Busari and Said's question, everything media, if you have the ability to comment or to speak. Okay, somebody said I should explain the import star again. So the import star is what? The import star means what? Import everything. Does that make sense to you, Chioma? So it means that it will import everything, but the key detail here is what? It will import everything and put it into this variable. So this variable does not need to be this one. You can call it something else. Okay. Right. Somebody was speaking. Is it my internet or not? But I know somebody was trying to speak. Did anybody hear anybody that was trying to speak? Okay, Ruben. The screen that I'm sharing, is it applying to only Ruben or everybody? Thumbs up if you can see my screen. Let's see now. So now you should be seeing like a Google Meet repeated screen stuff right now. Yeah, I know my internet is going to be bad today though, and I apologize for that. But now you should see my ID now. Okay. What about you, Ruben? Can you see this? Okay. My internet is kicking in now. I think my internet is just bad. I'm bad. maybe I will stop sharing. And is anybody having the same issue with Ruben? Is anybody having the same issue with Ruben? Hmm. Um, Ruben, are you able to just maybe sign out, exit the meeting, and join back? Yeah, you should be able to. Yeah, yeah, please do that for us. Right, we'll be waiting for you. Okay. So I was trying to explain before I get to some questions. I was trying to attend to Chema. Chema, are you here? Can I get a thumbs up here from you? Are you here? So I was trying to explain import everything. That is import asterisk. Okay, good. So the import asterisk, right? The job of the import asterisk is what it imports everything and saves it inside a variable. But mind you, that variable will become an object. And that is why you can see the way I'm using it now. I'm doing a dot something. Because you remember that anything that has to do with this dot here is like a object. So that is why it has to be say dot what? The two things inside of what? This say.js. Right? The two things here, which is what? This function and this function becomes what? Object. And technically, what it means, this is what it means though, technically. Let me show you technically what it means. What it means technically is this. So what it means technically is this. Export, and then you have this object here, and then you have what? A say hi, right, comma, and then a what? A say bye. So this is what is happening here, because now the import is not on the function, but the import is just a separate line on its own. The import is a separate line on its own, and it is exporting it as what? As an object. So when you go down to the index.js and you say take everything that is there and put it inside this variable, then it means that you have to use it as an object, and inside the object you will only have these two functions, the say hi and the say bye. And mind you, a function inside of an object is referred to as what? A function inside of an object is referred to as what? A method. So automatically the say hi and the say bye becomes what? A method that we can use. I don't know if that makes sense. Chema, does it make sense? So the import star is what is importing everything as a object so that we can what? Use it in our application. Is that clear? And the import as now, what is the has? The has is helping us with what? Renaming. Does that make sense? The as is helping us with what? Renaming. Ruben, are you able to see what is going on now? I'm not sure if Ruben is. Also, what I want you to do is, can you confirm your internet speed too? Yeah, let's do that together. I will check my internet speed as well, and then you can also do that. You can go to fast.com to check your internet speed. Yeah, I know my internet is crazy bad, crazy slow. This is more than slow. There's another word for this one. It's the same thing as checking it on the internet, like on the browser now. What is the range of your internet saying, Ruben? Yeah, yeah, you can see that that's the reason. Yeah, that's the reason why it's not showing. Maybe you can try to change your location and see if you can maybe get a good speed a little bit. But I'm also trying to record, so let's hope I can share the recording as well. I'm lazily recording. I don't want to record, but you guys are forcing me to record. Yeah, yeah. To check your internet on the terminal, I don't think it should be a big deal now. By now, you know that I do everything on the internet. The only thing is I can't eat on the internet, on the terminal. Sorry, I like to just like do everything on the internet. So and I can't watch my basketball on the internet to on the terminal. I mean, if you know I like basketball, I think most of you should know I like basketball by now. For those that are following me on Twitter, um, I've not been active on Twitter lately as well too, but I think I'm supporting Man U. Man U is trash, so the only way to be alive and be at peace is to not watch Man U play. So, right, good. So, but that's the basic introduction to importing modules for now. So we have the named import, then we have the renamed what, the renamed what import, and then we have the import everything has. And I said there is one more, and I need to talk about, which is what the default import. Does that make sense? Can I get some thumbs up? Are we together, class? Right. Okay. So I think to talk about this other one, which is um, the default import, then we need to also talk about the default export as well. Messi, I think Messi just joined. How are you? I think you just joined, if I'm correct. Um, I want to be sure you are. Okay, okay. I hope you're fine. All right, good. Don't. I'm fine. I'm alive, and I think I'm happy a little bit now. So I'm getting better day by day. So thanks for everybody that's been checking up on me as well. I know a lot of you are, like checking up on me and my family and all of that. So we do appreciate. Yeah. So before we go further a little bit into is anybody jealous that I asked after Messi though? You guys should not. Let me pepper some of you. I say Messi is my personal friend, so no, there's no need to be extra jealous. Is that okay? So if you want me to check up on you and dedicate some minute of the class to you, just come and become my friend, and I can always check up on you, right? So the next part I want to talk about is the default import. And the major thing here is that it is not different from what we've been talking about, but the only difference is the export, the way it is exported. So we will first check the way it is exported, then before we see the way the import works. And let's go to, I think the notes and see if I can pick something in the notes to help me here. Yeah. So now there are other, you see this export as well. I think I didn't talk about some of these ones as well. So when you are exporting, you can also rename, right? There is the renamed export as well, right? I think by now you should be able to relate with this based on the way we are importing. So in some people would like to rename before they export, and some people would like to rename when they are importing. So the preference depends on you. And I think we've talked about importing everything like this. The key to importing everything is what? It saves it as a whole object, right? And then you will have the details inside of this place here. So here, because I am exporting say hi as hi, and I'm exporting say bye as bye, so automatically, what is the name of the functions that I will have inside my say.js? What is the functions that I will have? I would have the functions to be what? Hi and what? Bye. Because before we export, we are renaming. Does that make sense? Right? Before we export, we are what? Renaming. And what is the key thing there? Miriam called the has alias. That is, this as is like an alias that helps us to remap say hi to be what? Hi. Right here. So again, let's see here. These are other examples here. Named import with an alias, right? This is default what? Import that I'm supposed to talk about. Yes. Somebody wanted to say something? Yeah. Ruben, your mic is muted. Okay. So this is the default import, which I'm still going to get to. But the rule before the default import is what? We have to use what? The default export before we can use the default import. And there is this rename that I've talked about as well right here. I've talked about this as well here. So I think I've also talked about this one as well. This is what? Named, right? Named. Did I go back or forward? Which way? Did I duplicate? I think there's a particular portion of the note that is duplicated. What is importing is duplicated. I think so. That's on me. So I didn't talk about this default. How come did I not talk about default in the notes? So to talk about default now, let me show you an example of default. Somebody wants to join. If your Lua wants to join, let's see. I need a way to automatically accept people. I think this is one of the reasons why I don't like Google Meet for anything though. Can somebody accept people to come in outside of myself? I don't know. It's just boring to be able to just come and add people in by default. Yeah. I don't know if the person is still there. So here I need to create another file, and I want to call this file let's just say sum.js, and sum.js, I mean, you can guess what it is. It's going to be a function that was sum, and then it can take like maybe a and b, and then it can return what? A plus b. And the key thing here now is what is the key thing? If this is supposed to be a default export, what is the keyword for default export? Anybody? What is the keyword for default export? So instead of just doing export alone, which is what we usually do for named, right? So we then need to make it what? Export what? Default. So this way, this becomes a default export. So automatically, to use this now, then we have to also do what? A default what? Import before we can what? Use this. So if I want to use the default import here, then I have to do what? Import, right? And I can say sum from where now? And I can save what? From sum.js. Now, the interesting thing is what? This name here, I can use any name. I can decide to call this name hard. I can decide to call this name dance, because it is default. So what it would do is it will automatically just give whatever is coming inside of this place, whatever function, whatever variable, it will automatically just assign it to this particular name by default. So this is what our default what? Import and default export. So this is not, it's not, again, don't let me say it's not good, but most developers do not like default. Most developers do not like default import. Most developers, they do not like default import. However, most beginners like default import. How many of you agree with that? Right? Like when you're just joining, you prefer to always use like the default, right? While like senior developers do not like default. So, but I don't think there's any preference and there's no rule that guides which one to use and which one not to use. But the key thing, again, like I said, the key thing, as much as possible is to what? The key thing is to have, just use anyone that is easy for you as much as possible. That's the only key thing right there. And be consistent. with it. So if you're going to stick with default, just use default, and then if you're going to use named, right, just use name. I think I know what might be the problem. See, I was working on something. I think I have an idea of what the problem is going to be. Okay, good. Sorry, that's not your business. So, any question about the default import? I don't know. Any question? Any response? What do you guys think? Default import. Modules is not that hard though. How many of you now agree with me that modules is not hard? How many of you agree with me? Like modules, they're just like the simplest stuff ever in JavaScript. It's just not hard at all. We make it look big, but they are not actually that big. It is actually simple. Simple. Did I say simple? Yes, I said simple. Yeah. Thumbs up, thumbs down for export default and import default. Or do you need me to re-explain? Do you need me to re-explain the default import and the default export? Okay. Okay. Yeah. For those who are just joining from your place of work, I'm sorry you have to go through the stress as well. Right. I'm really sorry. And my internet is bad as well. I take responsibility for that as well. So I think we can move a little bit forward, right? Or further. We can move a little bit further. Because I think that is everything with models, honestly. That's everything with models. So, if I want to answer some questions, I think somebody's asking, how do we import and export media files? Right. That is from Busari. How do we import? And somebody asked about, is this import used? Is this the import that is used when devs are working with external source like Cloudinary? Okay, good. So we have another question from Temitayo Adebayo right there that says, question, the default and the import asterisk, do they do the same thing importing all? Yes, sir. Temitayo, you are a very, very smart person though. You want to box me into a corner with this question, but I hope to provide clarity as well for the question. But let me start from Temitayo's question. Good. So Temitayo's question goes thus, right? Say bye. Do we have say bye? Okay. How many of you can see this error? How many of you can see this error? This underlining thing here. Can you see this error there? So, apparently, when we get to TypeScript, you will understand why I noticed that problem. You will notice that as I saw that underline there, I was curious that I'm not supposed to have this underline. So then, the next thing for me to do was to hover my cursor on it. And it said there is nothing called say bye. And for me, I'm worried because I know that I did exported something to be say bye. So that's why I checked here and I saw that, oh, a he is missing here, right? So then I could just put the e here and put this e here right there. Or better still, I can leave it the way it is, right? And then rename it as what? Say what? Say what? Say, you can do like a say bye is the same thing as what? Say what? Say bye. And this is valid. This is 1000% valid. I think so. Say bye. No, it should be 1000% valid because this is an object. So that should be valid. Yeah, it should be valid. I am certain that this is valid. Even if my ID said it's not valid, I am certain that it is valid. because this is an object here. This is say hi, say hi, say hi, right? So I am saying that the name of what I am using to export is say by, right, colon what say by. So this is also valid JS, 100% valid. Yeah. When you declare object, let's say person, and then you declare person to be name equals to John, and then age is 99. I think everybody knows this one as declaration of object. But what if we have variables already? So let's say I have name to be what equals to John before, and I have age to be equals to 99 as well before, to be equals to 99 before. So then it means that I can what, remove this one here and say name colon name, and I can also do what's it called now, age colon what, age colon age. Now there's a rule in JavaScript that says that if the key and the property, the key and the value, or the key and the property of the object, if they have the same name, we can decide to use one. How many of us have seen that rule before? Right? There's a rule in JS that says that if the key and the property is the same name, then you can just stick to one like this. And what is the name of that rule? What is the name of that rule in JS? What is the name of that rule? Property value shorthand. It's called property value shorthand. Property value what? Value shorthand. That is, the property can be shorthand, like it can be a short value, so long as the name of the word of the key and the value, or the name, the key and the property, key and property, so long as their name is the same thing, then you can stick with what one right there. So that was what we were doing here by sticking with say hi here, comma, and then sticking with say by here. What we were doing is what we were using the property value shorthand approach. So here we can also make this to be say by and call this to be say by, and then that would save this file and fix this particular underlining that was here before. And the reason why our IDE is able to know that is because of TypeScript. That is one of the advantages of TypeScript. So later on we also know about TypeScript, but that's one of the advantages of what TypeScript. How many minutes do I have left? All right. So to the questions right there, I think the first question here is question: the default and the import asterisk, do they do the same thing? No, they don't do the same thing. Does that make sense? Temitayo, they don't do the same thing, because what default does is default just export a particular thing that you put export default on, while import asterisk will take all the thing that you are exporting and put it inside of an object. So whenever export is in a particular file, it will gather everything together and put it into an object so that we can use them. Does that make sense? Temitayo, Adebayo, does that make sense? So I think we've answered the first question. Then the next one is what? Then the named and renamed. Just import a particular function. No, they named and renamed. They don't import a. No, because if you look at my say, if you look at the say by here, right, the say by here is exporting what now? I think the say by here is exporting how many things? It's exporting say hi and say bye. It's also exporting person here. So it can do more than that. So it means that if I want to use it here, right, in my what, in our what named here, all I need to do here is to either do say hi, right, or I do what, person, right, or I do say what, say bye. So anyone I want to do, I can do this. And if I want to do the three together, I can do this. I can do say bye, right, comma, person, right, comma, and say what, say hi, right, and that is also valid. And then the renamed, right, so the renamed import is like, okay, as I'm importing say hi, I am changing the name to hi. As I'm importing say bye, I am changing the name to bye. So the same thing I can do for person. As I import person, I can say the name is now what, the name is now what, angel. Is anybody learning angel in the class? So that is that. And also, so I think I've answered your question, the two questions. I think I've answered them successfully. So back to Sahid's question. Can I get a thumbs up from you, Timitayo Adebayo? If okay, good. So back to Said's question. Said's question goes thus. It says that Said's question says, is it this import that is used when devs are working with external source? So the external source means that, I think he's referring to packages here, if I'm correct. Packages. And they are even called what, npm packages. Let's even go straight down and name them now. That is npm packages. Is that what you're referring to? Is that what you're referring to as packages here? I believe, right? So npm packages are packages that other developers have written, right? Other developers like me and you have written, right? So those are external packages that other developers like me and you. Yes, so we use the import with them as well, right? So it is the same import that we use with them. Then I think for Busari's question now, what's Busari's question again? How do we import media and how do we import and export media files? So I think, did I answer your question, Said? Did I answer your question? I can get a thumbs up as well if I did. Then for Busari's question, how many of us know the answer to Busari's question? We cannot import and export media files. We cannot import media and so. How many of you believe what I just said? How many of you believe what I just said? Or you think I'm capping? How many of you think I'm capping? Oh my God. Honestly, with our ESM, we cannot import media and export media files. That is just the simple truth. And that is what will lead me to also talk about the next thing that we plan to talk about. What is the next thing that we're supposed to talk about? Bundlers. Right? Because most of our browsers have not fully implemented the specification of ESM. So it means that ESM is not completely powerful the way it was designed to be powerful. So there is still the exceptions of what? There's still the exceptions of what? Media files. However, there is one that can import HTML file, there is one that can import JSON file, there is one that can import some other things like that. I think there is they are not yet common. For example, now, if we check import maps, import maps, import maps, if we check import maps, let's just do MD and import maps. So there is something called import maps, right, which is something that allow us to technically allow us to. So this is what 2023, that's when it's available, right? So it's just became available 2023. So with import map as well, you can put a JSON file inside a script, and you can then use it like this. You can then use something like this. So import maps, import maps are a thing, but they are not yet popular. Import maps are a thing, but they are not yet popular. So they are fairly popular, but they are not yet popular. So they allow us to map JSON to a particular import. Then I think there is the import HTML as well. It's also very new. You can import the HTML file. It is very, very new. Import HTML as well. Let me see whether it's on MDN. There is the import HTML as well. It is still very new. Very, very new. Like very, very new. I'm not even sure it will be on MDN. I'm not certain it should be on MDN. Yeah, it's not yet on MDN. I think so. Right. So you can see what I just explained, right? All these ones here. So yeah, they call this one named import. They call one default import, and they call the star and as what namespace import. And there is one that looks like this, which I didn't mention, which is what side effect import as well. Let's see if I can see the one that import HTML as well. I think it's not common. It's a very new spec. So this is require. For those who joined the class earlier when I was talking about require, this is how to use require to import as well. And I think also we can also import from what HTTP URLs, or we can import from data URLs, right? So you can import from like a HTTP URL, or you can import from a data URL, right? So here, this is export defaulting what 42 right here. So this one now, see this particular import here. How many of you can see this one? So they are specifying width, right, at the end of it. So when you specify width and you say the type :HTML, so that is an example of what a JSON import, right? So it means this is exporting JSON. So this one, you can change the type to type HTML, and this will allow us to import HTML as well. But like I said, they are not yet common. So the importing of the HTML is not common, and I don't think it's standardized yet. So maybe if I want to search for it, maybe what I can do is import with type HTML. Let's just say import with type HTML. It's not yet common at all. I am certain that it's not yet common. So they are called import attributes, but they are not yet common, right? They are not yet common. They are not yet common. So when you import something, then you can put width here, right, to specify that, oh, this is going to be this particular type here, there. So like I said again, they are not yet common, so I don't expect anybody to use them, right, per se, because they are not yet common. So if you look at it here, they still have some problems with which browser support which, but it is still a proposal, right? And yeah, and there is this last one that I need to talk about before we finish today's and end today's class there. So again, did I answer your question, Busari? Did I answer your question, Busari, that we can import media files because the browsers have not fully implemented the specification for ESM. Okay, good. So now, if you want to import, so if you have seen any React code base where they are importing PNG or SVG, you will be asking questions. How did they do that? How many of you are thinking like that? Right? You have seen some code base before, you've seen them import like a PNG, you've seen them import SVG. How many of you are wondering how did they achieve that? How? Right? So the major reason is what? Bundlers. So bundlers becomes the what? The level ground for all of us. So that the things that we are supposed to be able to use in the browser that are not available to all of us, right? Then the browser will then, so the bundlers now then created them, right? The bundlers put those ability into the bundlers, and we can then use those abilities. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? So the reason why you can see somebody import PNG in any code base, or import SVG, or import anything that looks like a picture or a media file, is because they must have a bundler that is working behind the scene. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Can I get some response? Okay. And that would also maybe be leading us to another thought or conversation around bundlers. But before we go to the conversation of bundlers, I think I would also like to talk about what now? Dynamic import. How many of us have seen dynamic import before? Dynamic import. How many persons have seen dynamic import? So dynamic import is a import that looks like what? A function. Dynamic import is an import that looks like a function. So the key goal for dynamic import is to what? To give us the ability to import when we need to. So dynamic import, you can see that there is an await there, and this import looks like a function. So it means that dynamic import returns what? A function. Dynamic import returns a function, and it's a promise-based function. So I think what we can also do here is we can click on this as well to see example of what dynamic import. So dynamic import is what's commonly called dynamic import, is a function-like expression that allow loading ECMAScript module out asynchronously and dynamically into a what? Potentially non-module environment. Okay, so the way it does is like you just import, you give it the name here, and then you import again, or you can give it some options. So what are the options, right? You can pass width, the width attribute to it, and then we can use this. So the reason why we have the dynamic import again is to what? Is to what? The thing will only be loaded when you get to that line of code. The thing will only be loaded when we get to that line of code. And another thing is what? Dynamic import is much more, so all these ones here, anytime all these ones at the top here, the moment our JS file or the browser downloads this JS file, it will do all these imports. And sometimes we don't need all of them to be imported, because for example, if you look at this sum now on line 9, I'm not using that sum, so you can, it just says like sum is declared but it's not being used. So what is the goal there? The goal will then mean to what? To use dynamic import as much as possible, because dynamic import will only import when you need it. But for all of these ones, they can run, so long as it needs to use this file, it will just run dynamic import right there. But it's just run the import. But with dynamic import is much more specific, and it will only run when you get to that particular line. So dynamic import happens only exactly when we need them. So that way it makes our work much more performance with what? Dynamic what? Import. So for example, right, again, okay, so for example, this sum.js, right, we can comment this sum.js out, right, and I can just, let's say we want to, so let's say let's say inside of this submit handler now, that's where I want to use my dynamic import. So maybe what we can do is what we can pull this down and say import. Okay, so because I can't use import anymore here, so what I would do is what we can then do, maybe it won't even work inside of this place because I need to make the function an asynchronous operation. So maybe what I can do is, let's create an asynchronous function. How do you create an asynchronous function? So when you have a function, how do you create an asynchronous function? Main, and then you can have what? Async, right? Just put async in front of it. So it means that I think I can then drag all of these things. I don't need to drag everything, but the major thing is like I can just run, if I want all this file to run inside of the main, so I can do that there. So here inside of this main.js now, so maybe it's inside of this main.js that I want to put this event listener. Let's just assume that that's what I want to do here. So I can then put it here. And again, how do you call this now? Maybe you want to do like a instantly call the asynchronous function. So you can say call this instantly. So this kind of function is called what now? Immediately invoked function expression. And the truth is I can move everything into it right there. So but let's assume that I'm just for teaching purpose now. I can do an await now, and I can do import. And I can import something dynamically and say what? Go to sum.js and import it dynamically, and let my variable be what? Sum, and I can do like this. And then we can then console.log what? Console.log sum. And that's just it. But the idea is that it has to be used in an asynchronous environment, because that is the beauty of what? That is the beauty. So if I go to, how do I run this my application? Let's just restart this now. Restart this. I'm waiting for my ID to start back because I closed it. Who asked me to close that ID? Now I'm used to fast internet. I'm sorry. Like my brain is used to having fast internet, so I just usually just click on stuff and I don't care how long it takes because I'm so used to like I'm sorry. This is taking more than enough of my time. This one is not even, because I need to take time before it finished downloading. So what can I do? Let's just do Z. I just open the outdated one. So let's just use the outdated one the way it is. I have put myself inside trouble with what I just did. I did put myself inside big trouble. Okay, successfully. So to run this application now, I think to run this application, we can open the terminal and what's the time? To run this application, we can just do serve and dot, server and dot. So on your end, you are likely opening the live server, server and dot. So if we go down to our browser, right, we can then go to localhost. What? Go to localhost 8080, and then we have this there. So again, it looks very so to be sure that everything works the way it works, if I right click and inspect here, and we can see our console. We check our console here. Okay. So we check our console here. There is a problem on line 60, index.js line 60, index.js line 60, line 60. So we can comment this out. And if I refresh this application, so you can see that it's running all this function. Hello John, John bye, hello Ade, right? So these are all the say hi and the say bye stuff that it's trying to run. So it's trying to run all those functions. All right, and if I right click and inspect as well, I think we should see the log of our sum. We should see the log of our sum. We should see the log of our sum. So if you check here, if you see line index.js 73, you would see that it is this is a model, and it is a default model. So it's a default model, right? So it means that inside of my index.js here, I can then console.log sum.sum. I think it should be sum.sum. Yeah, sum.sum. And that must be a function now. That must be a function. Is it function? It's coming as undefined though. Why is it coming as undefined? It's coming as undefined. Let's see why. Is it a default? I think it's a default. So it's not, it should be sum directly. I think it's a default. Yeah, my bad. Let's see. Okay, so if it's coming as undefined, then it's not, it should be, let's see, sum.js. And yeah, this is coming as a default. So I think we can just use it directly. We don't need to do a sum.something anymore. So we can just do a sum 2,4 and console.log 2,4. I want to believe that this must work. Alright, so sum is not defined in the function. So maybe let's take it as another variable. Wait, sum into sum.default. My bad. Sum.default. That's my bad. That is on me. Sum.default. I think so. It must work now. Yes. It is working. So what I did there, like based on maybe what Miriam asked me to do, what I did there was to dynamically import something from sum.js. You know, I have been using the import statically, that is, it will just load itself, right? But now I am importing with a dynamic import. So the dynamic import is like it will only happen when you need it to happen. I don't know if you understand. Like, it will only happen like when you need it to happen, and it has to be asynchronous. So it has to be wrapped inside like an asynchronous function. So the reason why we have the dynamic import is to like load something when you need it. Because most of the time we end up having plenty imports in our code base that constitute to lots of size, useless size increase. So then they described and defined something called dynamic import, which is promised based and asynchronous based. That is, oh, I will only import when you need me. So unlike the other ones which you can just put at the top of your code and it will just import all of them. But now if you want one that is much more better, that should only do the right thing at the right time. So it's only when you need it that you want to use it, and then you can do what the dynamic what import. And again, it has to be awaited right before you can use it. I don't know if that makes sense to you. Does it make sense to anybody? Right, so the only clear difference with dynamic import is that dynamic import is serving a much more amazing purpose than the ordinary import. It is even doing the work of the ordinary import better, because now you will only import when you need it. So it is the line where you need to use it that you're going to import something. And that is the beauty of the dynamic import. So for example, now I can import inside the submit event handler. So because these are things that we can do. So here, since I'm not maybe using it here as well, I could take this. Let's say I want to use this sub inside this submit handler. Then it means I can carry this operation and go and put it inside of this place. So again, you need to put it as close as possible to where you want to use it, and that is the beauty of what dynamic what import. It is beautiful, and it is the least spoken about, or maybe least spoken about. How many of you have observed? How many of us have heard of dynamic import before today's class? How many persons have heard of dynamic import before today's class? It is not so common like the import and the export, and people go crazy on import and exports, but very few people really know about dynamic import. All right. Did I answer your question, Miriam? Can I move forward a little bit? Okay. Again, for those who don't understand dynamic import for now, right? There's no problem as well. Okay. I believe with time, it will also come together. I believe with time it will come together. But just try to understand the concept. The thing with dynamic import is it is asynchronous in nature, and it's only useful when you want to use it, unlike the other imports where you just import anyhow you like, right? But with dynamic is like I will import when exactly we want to use, and that one will only fetch the exact thing you need, right? It will fetch the exact detail that you need. So I think the story now is what we can talk a little bit about bundlers. How many of us are excited about bundlers? You want to hear stories about bundlers? And how many person watched the video that I asked us to watch? How many person watched the video that I asked us to watch? How many persons? Did you learn a lot from the video? That the video was full of history. The video was full of history. What are the noticeable or the notable bundlers that was mentioned? What are the notable ones? The notable ones. What are the notable ones? So there was the Webpack, right? And before the Webpack era, we have script tags, right? Before the Webpack era, we use script tags, right? Which is what we are currently using, right? Script tags everywhere. And then after that, we have the gulp and grunt. Gulp and grunt. That's the one. Then after the gulp and grunt, Webpack was the revolution, right? Webpack came with a revolution. Then after Webpack, now the team that created Webpack is currently on version 5. And I think Webpack has a lot of problems. And then the team that is creating Webpack decided to go and create Turbo Repo. But parcel was one of the bundlers that came, and that was created by the person who was talking in the video. What's the name of the person that was talking in the video? Devon, I think, is it Geovot or something like that, right? So Devon was the creator of Parcel, and there was like the idea of Parcel is to create a bundler that is simple and easy. Then also we have Vite. Vite was created by the creator of what? Vue. How many of you know the person who created Vue.js? What is the name of the person who created Vue.js? Right, Evans Yu. Right, Vite was created by Evans Yu. So Vite is also currently they are manipulating Vite now to become roll down, right? And roll down is going to be much more better than Vite, right? They're working on that. Then roll up, Vite currently uses these two things, roll up and ES build, right? And RS Park is another bundler on its own, but roll up can also be a standalone bundler on its own as well. But my focus under this bundlers teaching is Vite, because it is the most useful right now. We can also use Parcel. I think in time past I've taught my students how to use Parcel, but I think Parcel is it's just very easy to use, and I think Parcel is the simplest to use, and Vite is the future, right? And then maybe we can talk about the other ones later, but Vite is like the amazing thing here. Can I get somebody who has a very good internet to read for me? Can I get somebody to read for me? Anybody? Okay, Miriam. Yeah, you can go ahead. All right, thank you. So wait there. Thank you. So you can see that the key thing with Vite is what? Fast, lightweight. So why do we need build tools? I've told you that ES module that we thought we are using in the browser is not in the full state yet in all of the browsers. They are still not yet in the full state. So it means that ES module that we have in the browser has limitations. One of the limitations is what? We can't import media files, right? But build tools now help us to say, okay, we will go ahead of the browser and go and do everything that the browser needs to do. Because the problem with the browsers is like Google Chrome, we want to do their thing in another direction. Firefox, we want to go another direction. Safari, we want to go to another direction. So they are always fighting. So that will slow down the development. So that's why the build tools are much more popular, right? They're the ones who will just like, okay, we'll just solve all the problems and then make everything work. So Vite is using what behind the scene again now? ES model. So it is using ES model to improve the performance, and it has what? Zero config, right, by default, right? And it supports modern framework, React, Vue, and other popular frameworks. So and before we even touch on this Vite now, I would like to show you something. Okay, so this is our current code base, right? Please pay attention to this. I think I need to open this up, and let me see where we are currently. pwd, so maybe I can do cpwd. So copy my current working directory for me, and then let me go to like a proper terminal, and then I can so here in this terminal I can cd, I think I want to cd, right, into the copied working directory. Yeah, so if I cd, I don't know why it's taking 1 million years to do that. So if I do the cd here to take me to this, so this is my JS app, right, that we see. So this is git status. So these are all the changes I've made today. Git status. Should I commit these changes, or what do you guys think? What do you think? Should I commit these changes into that repo? Yeah, maybe. Let's do git status. I could just say g new push, and then modules explanation. So yeah, I've pushed that. Now I want to talk about the whole idea of what npm, npx, and all this other detail. Okay, so initially now in this code base, now what do we have? Index.css, index.html, index.js, say.js, submit.js, and sum.js. There is nothing called what package.json here in this code base. Can you see that? Can we all see that? There is nothing called package.json, right? So now if you have installed Node.js successfully on your computer, you should do what? Node-v to see the version of Node that you have. I think I don't know if I do npm, if I do so I think nov, I don't know if I have nov though. Okay, so nov should be node born and some other stuff, I think Dino. So what my Node version is 22, 23, but I have nvm. I think if I do nvm ls, what is nvm? Nvm is a Node version manager. So that way I can use multiple versions at the same time. So because I have version 16 installed, version 18 installed, version 20 installed, version 22 installed, and I want to use version 23 for what I'm doing here, so I can just do nvm use what 23.50. so now if I use version 23.50, then I can then say, oh, if I do my Node version one more time now, right, my Node version will now be what 23.50. That is the first thing that I want you to note. nvm right there. Okay, good. And the next thing is that if I do npm-v as well, I can also check the version of my npm as well. So, and my version is 10.9.2, but I know that the latest version should be version 11, I think so, but at least we can still work with this. So now, if I do npm init, that is the first thing. What will npm init do? Npm init will what? Does anybody have experience with npm init? Does anybody have experience with npm init? Does anybody have experience with npm init? So what npm init would do is what? Npm init becomes a way to create a JavaScript what? Project. So now, JavaScript projects have some identities now. That is, if anybody wants to create JavaScript project, okay, the significant thing that should show to us that we are doing a JavaScript project is what? We must see something called what? A package.json. A package.json file. So I must see that package.json file in your code base. But right now, here you can see that what? There is no package.json code base here. So to create that whole thing and make this project now a full power JavaScript project, I can now do what? npm init. And if I press enter here, now it will ask me for some questions. So the first one is what? This utility will walk you through what? The creating of what? Package.json file. It covers the most common items and tries to guess sensible default. See npm help init for definitive documentation, then use npm install package afterward to install a package and save it as a dependency. Press Control C anytime to cancel. Then this package name is based on what? The name of my folder, right there, the name of my folder. So I can go ahead with what? This. The version is 001. Description is just our first what? JS what? Project, right? And then the entry point is the index.js. The test command, I don't have any test command. Then the repository is this. Then the keyword is maybe JS, learning, AltSchool, right? And everything possible, everything JS, right? And then license is MIT. I don't have any problem with that. So then this will be what? The content of the package.json. Is this okay? Yes, I can type yes. I think Y, and that is okay. So now if I do a bat package.json, I now have this package.json in this code base now. Again, do we understand that junction? Let me take a breather there. Let me take a breather there. Let me take a breather. Have I done anything strange? Have I done anything strange? Have I done anything strange? Miriam, are you still here? Maybe let me have a discussion with Miriam. Let's do a walkthrough. Let's do a discussion. So you wait. You understand where I checked for my node version? Did you get that part? Right. Okay. So then I said, if we want to turn this project that we're working on to a proper JS project, what do we need to do? We need to do what? npm space what? Init. Right. So that is what? What is the goal of that? The goal of that is to turn this project into what? A what? A JS project. And what will it introduce? What is the key thing that it will introduce? This package.json. Because that is what signifies to us that we are working in a JS project. So what is the step again? You do what? npm init and you press enter and you follow the prompt. Does that make sense to you? Miriam, does No, don't worry, don't bring Vite yet. Don't worry, just ignore Vite yet. So I'm just saying, like, now that's like the first approach that I'm showing you, that anytime you want to create a JS project, I expect you to have the npm init to create a package.json into that project. That is the most basic important thing that you should always do. Does that make sense? All right, let me see another person. If I can ask another person, who else wants to say something? Busari, can I? Or I don't know, who else can speak? Who else is in a good space to speak? Who else want to say something? Because this is very important here, very, very crucial, very important. Who is able to unmute their mic to speak, to ask questions? Okay. Let's see. Somebody's asking a question there that do you do that when you want to create a JS project? Yes, absolutely. I think I've answered that your question, Busari, right? That to start any JS project, the requirement is to have what? Your package.json. Can I get a thumbs up now if you get it up to this particular point? Okay, Ibrahim, yeah, go ahead. Hi. Okay. Okay. But are you following what we are doing though? Are you? Is it complicated? Yeah. If I may ask though, which part are you not clear? With are you able to tell me the part you don't? All right. All right. I'll do that again. Thank you. Okay, good. So, somebody's asking a question. Before I attend to your question, Ibrahim. So, Nelly's saying that, so we just type npm init. Yes. So to start a JS project, you just start npm init, boom, and then you press enter, and then you follow the prompt. So Busari is saying, can it be done in the VS Code terminal after creating the index.html file? Yes, absolutely. It can be done in any terminal. npm init can be done in the terminal. So again, the key detail is like to turn this project that we are doing into a proper JS project. It has to have something called what? A package.json. And I will explain to you why every JS project should have a package.json, right? But the key thing I need you to take from me, hook, line, sinker, right now is that every JS project must have what? A package.json. Does that make sense? It is compulsory. It is not whether you want it or not. Every JS project must have what? A package.json. And how do we create this package.json again? How do we create this package.json? npm what? Init. npm init. So again, clear, right? npm init, high n high t. I mean, init is like, you should always be used to init, right? Because there is git in it. True or false? Right? We do have git in it because, yeah, so that's like the way. So all you just need to do is what? npm space what? Init, and you follow the prompt. So that creates what? A package.json for us. Good. So another interesting thing is what? Let's assume that I want to delete this package.json off, and I want a faster way to create this package.json. I can just do npm init hyphen what? Y, or double hyphen what? Yes. So hyphen y or hyphen yes. Now what this would do is what? This will just pick default. It will just pick all the defaults for me. So you can see here there is no description. So you can see there's no description, but it just goes ahead and pick all the default for me right there. So that also what works as well. But for sure, the key one is what? npm what? Init, right? But you can put a hyphen y or hyphen double hyphen yes, right, to pick the default. Does that make sense? Are we following? Are you guys with me? Are you understanding, please? I need you to really, like, this is the crossroad. This is where there is the key moment of this lecture. The key moments there. So I said what? The key identity of a JavaScript project is what now? What is the key detail of a JavaScript project? The key detail of a JavaScript project is what? Package.json. Right? And how do we create our package.json? It has to be what? npm what? Space what? Init. npm space what? Init. npm space init. Now, if I want to use the default, right, and I don't want to do anything, what do I need to do? It has to be what? npm space init space what? Hyphen y, or npm space init, right, space what? Double hyphen what? Yes. Does that make sense? Does that make sense, please? I need your response now. Please, I need your response here. Now, Ibrahim, is the explanation clear again? I don't know. I took the explanation again one more time. Okay. I don't know. Chidima, what do you think? I'm calling you out now because I know you too. What do you think? You can use the comment if you can speak, or maybe you can use the comment. What do you think? npm init creates the package.json, right? But if we want to pick the default, we have npm space init space what? Hyphen what? Y, or npm space init space what? Double hyphen what? double hyphen what? Yes. Double hyphen yes. Does that make sense, please? Does that make sense again? Now, for those of us who are still confused as well, right, just please follow carefully. Just follow carefully. It will come together now. So once we have the package.json right in our code base now, then it means that we can then do some things, right? You can do some things. Some things that, what are the things that I mean now? It means that, what are the defaults that we are picking? Let's run through it again. So let's do npm init. So if I do enter here, so the default is like, it will pick the folder name, right? So if you have a folder name, the version 001, right? That's the default. Description will be empty because I'm not pressing anything. That's the default. The MIT is also default, and that's all. And then, does that make sense? Tinyuka. So the ones in the bracket there that is putting in front are the default. So just press enter. You are not picking the default because it will automatically just pick the default for you as best as possible. You are not the one picking the default, right? It will pick the default for you. Does that make sense, Tinyuka? Thumbs up. Are you able to do a thumbs up or thumbs down so that I can know whether I should re-explain that? So the default is, the default is index.js. Yeah, the ones in the bracket are the default. The ones in the bracket are the default. What is the default for? The default is just for a basic JS project. That's what the default are for, right? That is, this is what the minimum that is expected from any JS project, and that's why they are called defaults. Does that answer your question? J, I don't know your full name though, but J is what I'm seeing, so I would address you as J. Does that make sense? Okay, good. So the next thing is like, now we can then import, right? You can then use, so the first major power that we have now is you can use packages from other developers. That is all the packages that we have right on this website called npm.io, right? You can use all these packages here. Is it npm.io or not? I can't even forget what their URL is again. Why can't I even know what their URL is now? npmjs.com, I think, yeah, npmjs.com. So sorry. So every of the packages that we have here on this site here, you can then use them. So most times as well, I probably would advise you to also sign up to create your own account as well. I'm not sure I can even remember what my password is, but the reason why I would advise you to create your own username and password again is because one of these days you might eventually be good enough with JavaScript to write your own packages, right? So if you want to write your own packages, I don't have my authenticator close by, so I don't know what that looks like. Or please give me a moment, please. Let me pick my phone. Let me pick my phone. I'm coming. Please give me a moment. I'm trying to check my authentication hub to see which one has the code for npm. So it should be 27273 432, and then we should be able to enter. Okay. Sorry. I don't know. Okay. So that is that. So at the end of the day now, so you can then publish your own packages. So that's the reason why I would probably say. So there are different packages. So there are packages for front-end development, there are packages for back-end development, there are packages for CLI development, there are packages for documentation, there are packages for CSS, there are packages for testing, IoT coverage, mobile frameworks, robotics, mathematics, right? And but the popular ones are what? React, DOM, Axios, Chalk, Next, Inquirer, Commander, and Express. So these are the common stuff, yeah. But again, all these packages are just packages that what you can use. So the idea is that somebody has creating these things, and then we can then just go ahead and use them in our code. So I will take one of them called what's this one called now? I've forgotten what this one is called now. ESM.sh. So I think there should be one here that I can use here. There should be one I can use. Coffee tea. So if you look at this now, you can see this one now as I'm moving my application. If you notice that as I'm moving the cursor, yeah, you'll notice as I'm moving this cursor around. How many of you see this coffee tea that is following us around? You see this coffee tea that is following us around now. So if I want to bring that into the JS application, right, that we are building, right? So all we just need to do is what? Locate this canvas coffee tea. Locate canvas coffee tea, right? So I'm going to search for canvas coffee tea here. Canvas coffee tea, right? Canvas coffee tea. Is this double T? I don't know. So this is canvas coffee tea here, right? I'll click on that. So once I click on it, and I think then it will then give me the process of how to install. So what is the process of how to install? I can do what? npm install -- save canvas coffee tea. So if I copy this now, copy that, right? And before, if we're in the script tag era, you can also use it with the script tag like this, okay? That works as well. But because now we are using what? We're using the package.json approach right here. So I can just npm install the canvas coffee tea. Then also I want to comment out all these alerts that I have there, or maybe I'm going to change all these alerts to console.log because I can't deal with too much of alert. Console.log. Alert is just messing up my system. Then if I go down to So if I go down back to this place as well now, all right, so now what we want to do now again is what? To do what? So okay, somebody wants to join the call. I think there's somebody in the waiting room. Let's bring the person in. So I think the thing here is what now? So the rule here is what? I paste this, right? Or let's just paste it in the terminal. Let's just paste it in the terminal here. So if I paste it in the terminal here, I paste it here, right? And press enter. So you will notice something very interesting. So you will notice that what? It will tell us that, it told us that what? It has added one package. Now if I do the bath of my package.json now, what can you notice? What can you notice? You will notice there is a new region called dependency that was created. So it is because of what? It is because I did the npm install, right? And that's why it has now. So my project has what? How many dependency does my project have now? It has a dependency called what? It has a dependency called what? Canvas coffee tea. What is bat? Bat is just like a console.log on the terminal. Is it console.log? Yeah, something like cat to display something right there. So yeah, you can do cat on your own end, but trust me, it won't be this pretty on your hand. Don't worry, it's still the same thing, right? But it's still the same thing. Yeah. Now, so now it has added what? This dependency again because I did npm install. So it means that my JS project now depends on what? This particular package. Okay, so now I can then go ahead and use this package in my project. I can then go ahead and use that package in my project. So inside my index.js now, right, inside my index.js now, I can then, or maybe let's just pick it at the top here. Let's pick it at the top here. I can say import, let's just say import coffee from, let me just go to the doc and copy. I can't write too much of code. So to use the canvas coffee, I think there should be some things I can copy real quick here to just be able to use it. I think there should be some basic defaults. Okay. I don't even want to append anything. I just want to, yeah, I just want to import something there. So let's just copy this basically. So I just want to do import coffee from where? From canvas coffee. So you notice that my ID is also aware. So anytime somebody creates a to do, right, I can just call the coffee. Anytime somebody creates the to do, right, we can just call the coffee, right? We just call the coffee, and then we can just say coffee. Let's just call this coffee here and call it as a function. That's all. And that's all. So if we go back to our application in the browser real quick, and then okay, good. So now look at where the problem is now. So as I try to want to use the coffee, I said it should import the coffee, right? What do you notice now? How many of us can see this error in the terminal? In our browser, sorry. How many of us can see this error? Right, so it means that even though we just installed something, a package to be able to use, our default browser, the default browser cannot use that package because the default browser does not have the power to use it. The default browser does not have the power to use it. So it's not going to allow us to use it because the default browser is asking, is it / or dot or this? I need to resolve coffee and I don't know how to resolve coffee. So our browser cannot do anything to coffee. The only way it can do something to the coffee is by what? Is if I go and use the URL. If I go and look for the CDN and use that CDN. So if I copy this one, this is the only time it will only be able to make sense out of it. So if I paste this now into this place, instead of importing the local one now, I comment this out and I paste this one. And I think the latest version should be 9.3. I can't remember. I think if I check my package.json, what does the package.json says? The package.json says the version that we have here is 1.9.3. So I can change this one to what? 1.9.3. And if I save this now, and it will try to make sense out of this now. It will try to make sense out of this. So if I go to the JS hub that we have now, we will no longer see any error anymore here. Can you observe that now? So the only way our browser can play with the package that we install is if it is coming directly from HTTPS. But for me to locally install it in my project using npm install, it will not understand it. Does that make sense? So if we go ahead and create a to-do now, coding, right, and we create a to-do, right, do you see that confetti now? You see the confetti bumps up here now. So literally now, it is using the confetti, but it is using the confetti from where? HTTPS. But it has a limitation. It cannot use that confetti when I do what? When I do the npm install. So it cannot use this one at the top that we npm installed. It can only use this one that is coming from what? The internet through HTTPS. So this is the limitation of our ES model. The ES model cannot work with npm packages that you install in your computer. So it needs the bundler to now help it to be able to process that kind of what? npm packages. Do you see where the bundlers come into the play now? That is literally, again, our browser alone, they cannot do so much. They are limited in their ability. So they need somebody that can package everything together and just give the browser what the browser understands. And that is why they call them bundling. That is, it will bundle everything into something that the browser would understands and the browser can use. So the browser is limited in its capacity to allow the front-end developers to write modern JS web application. So we, the JS engineers now, the front-end engineers now, need the help of what? A bundler to help us to take all the things that we are doing and bundle it into something that the browser can then understand and use. Am I communicating? So again, my browser, your browser, our browser is, as much as the browser are powerful, but they are still limited in their ability to allow us to build modern front-end applications. So we then employ the service of what? A bundler, right? You go to your Webpack, you go to your Parcel, you go to your Vite, you use them to bundle the application, to package it, and send it to the browser. That sent information to the browser is what enables us now to build amazing applications in the browser. Because now you can see again in this code base here, I am using this one from HTTPS, but of course, right, my browser cannot understand the one above here, right, which is the one that I installed locally in my code base. Right, but it can only understand this one from what? The internet. So my browser, your browser, they are limited in their ability, right? I think that is the bulk of what I have been aching to explain all this while. It is very, very powerful. It is complex, but I believe that if you again get the opportunity to watch this video one more time, you would really understand and you would appreciate the beauty of what we are able to achieve as front-end engineers. How many of you like the confetti? You like the confetti, right? It's just sprinkles a little bit of confetti after creating every to-do there, right? So again, I'm also trying to, as much as possible, slow down to explain in a language that every one of us can relate with, because this is also crucial for your journey as software engineers. If you're going to go farther than I've gone in my career, right, you need a very good understanding, a good foundation that you can that can help you to travel far right there. But I believe that if I stopped to this class at this point, I believe you've gotten something. I believe, right, that you have something solid, something a little bit that can give you confidence to at least be able to say, oh, the browser has some limitation. And the reason why bundlers will ever come into the picture is because of the limitations of our browser. Our browser, as fast, as powerful that they are, they still have some form of limitation. Why they can't allow us to build the modern front-end application to the best of what we can ever do. I know I've used I think 20 minutes extra out of your time here. So How many persons were able to fix this delete here of these first three? How many persons have been able to fix this delete here for the first three? How many persons were able to implement something that fixed the delete for the first three? Okay, Miriam was able to do that. Okay, good. Should I maybe wrap up by showing you how a bundler can be added to this current code base that we are working on? Because I think that would have made more sense to end the class on that note, to just show you how a bundler takes that problem that we have, that limitation, how it takes it and makes sense out of that situation. Yeah, somebody want to say something? Yeah. I don't know. It's my time up. Do you want to send me out of the class? You know, this one is my own link now. It's not your link. You people cannot send me out of the class. Except I will send you people out of the class. So, you know, that Zoom is your own link now. You people have power. But this one is my own. It's my own meeting. Nami, they in charge. But trust me, I won't take too much of your time. It's just, I think I just believe like wrapping all of this up in that way would really give you the confidence to go ahead to be able to move forward here. So I think the first one I'm going to try out is Parcel. Even though I've not used it in a long time, but Parcel.js. Let's just do Parcel.js. Parcel.js. Let's just go there. So it's not like I pre-planned all of this way before. So how do you use Parcel.js? Getting started, right? So just build a webpack with Parcel. That's all. So how do you build a webpack with it? He said, what? Do npm create Parcel vanilla. Okay, that's your business. So all I just need to do is what? Add Parcel. That is npm install Parcel. Can you see this now? Npm install Parcel. I'll just copy this, and let's just copy this and just run this in the terminal. Copy this again and run this in the terminal. And then you will observe another difference. Now you will observe a little difference. The first installation we did was added to the what? Was added to the what? Dependency. The first one we did was added to the dependency. And for this new one now that we are trying to install, which is Parcel, you will notice something. You will notice something very interesting. So when I installed, this one had ordinary save, right? The Coffee has ordinary save, and it was added to where? It was added to the dependency. But this one now has what? Save -dev. Where do you think it will add it? Where do you think it will add it? Where do you think it will add it? It will add it to what? It will add it to what? How is it taking 1 million years? My internet is slow, I bet. It's likely because of my internet, or the size of Parcel is much. It's likely because of my internet, or the size of Parcel is much. I don't have time to confirm what the size is, but let's just see. The thing is still loading. Still loading. Why is it taking forever? It's taking forever. I don't know. It's taking forever. So again, if your internet is slow, you will not enjoy this portion of the teaching. If your internet is slow, you will not enjoy this portion of the teaching because it heavily relies on the internet a lot for most of the things that we're going to be doing going forward. This is why I don't like NPM, because NPM is literally just slow. So these are some of the problems. I don't think I can wait this longer anymore. I don't have patience to wait anymore. So I'm just going to change that. Let me see if the package.json has changed. It has not changed. So what I want to do is I can do born install parcel. This should be fast. It's not should, it will be fast. I am certain it will be fast. It will be fast. What? This one is also slow. So there's a lot inside this parcel. Oh my god. This one is taking long. What? So this is all the things that they kept inside. So all the things that you're seeing it install, all the things that it's going through, there are other smaller npm packages that they come together that they put inside parcel. So that's like, I think it's over 500 now. So that means this is, so parcel has a lot of things inside. I didn't know, because I obviously have not had a need to use it in a long time. I mean, I've not had any need to use it in a long time. So yeah. Oh my god. Parcel. I just wanted to show you parcel though, to see how stuffs like this work in parcel. I don't know. Let's just be patient and see. Let's see. So Parcel was built with Rust inside, so I know that there's a little bit of Rust inside of Parcel, right? Parcel was built with Rust, yeah, I'm sure it was built with Rust. So there's a little bit of Rust in there. I think it's done. Should be almost done. So while I'm waiting for the installation to complete, so what I can do is I can go back to the documentation to follow the other part of what the documentation asks me to do. So the documentation says that we should npm install parcel, right? And then just make sure that you have this index.html, and then you should have this. So this is how you start the project here. So so now you would see some interesting things now, right? So you can see that in our package.json as well, you can tell it the source. You can tell it the source if you're using Parcel, and there will be something called a dev dependency in your package.json, and you can set up scripts now. You can set up all these scripts to manage the project. Okay, so in our IDE here, we have this package.json, and so my script here, you can see that my script here is just the default. So what we can do here is what we can say, there's the dev script. So the dev script here is going to be Parcel. I think it's supposed to be Parcel, and then you can say Parcel index.html, and that's all. And I think for the build one, the build will be what? Build will be Parcel build, I think, and then should be index.html this way. So these two scripts now, the dev and the build, they become our script that we can run. They become our script that we can run. So this thing has not finished still. What is it installing, sir? No, I can't come back to use Parcel again in my life. They've not fixed this their slow nonsense. It's too much. What is the size? The size is just annoying. Yeah, Miriam, go ahead. First, I just chose not to. Yeah, I think I chose to. I wanted to start with Parcel first to show you how Parcel works, because at the end of the day, too, there will be a day that Vite will no longer be available, right? And there, because before it's Webpack, and Webpack is still available, but a lot of people don't use Webpack again. So the goal is like, whatever the bundler is, you must still be able to know how to use those things, right, in whatever. However, this is a long shot. This is the long cut approach, because I am setting it up for the very first time, and that's why I'm going through this rigorous pain. Okay, so there are faster ways to set this up, right? There are faster ways to set this up. Okay, I think I just decided to go through this rigorous way, but I don't know why it's taking 1 million years to do this. So maybe if I have a stronger internet, we might go back to the Parcel approach, because I want to cancel this as well. I'm not sure I can wait anymore for this. But the Vite is going to be seamless. So what I would do here is let's see. So this is basically what we have for Parcel, and this is what we have for Parcel build. So if we want to run, if the installation is complete, right? If this installation is complete, all we just need to do next is to run what? All we just need to do next will be to run npm run what? Dev. And where's the dev coming from? So if I run npm dev now, you will see what it will tell me. It will tell me that what? There shouldn't be a missing script. So if I save this file now, So I've saved the package.json, and then if I run the npm run dev now, so it will try to run what? The Parcel command. So it will try to run Parcel index.html, but because Parcel has not been installed, that's why it will now tell us. That's why to tell us Parcel not found. Okay, so I would check out this branch. That's what I'll just do is I'll check out this branch GOB, and I'll say feature / what? Parcel. So that is what this branch is going to be, and then I'm also going to just commit this gnew Parcel setup. Then I can check out back to another branch now. I can use another branch to complete this process.
I think I know why. I need a gitignore file. What is the work of a gitignore file? Do we all know the work of a gitignore file? Gignore node. So gignore node, and then pipe it into a .gitignore file. Okay, so now I have a .gitignore file. I should have a .gitignore file. ls. So I should have a .gitignore file somewhere on my computer here. So this gitignore file, so it means that my node modules should not be there. So if I do the commit again one more time, parcel setup, that should be faster now, right? So there's a branch called parcel setup. Okay, so I can check out back to main, right? If I check out back to main and I do my ls, right, we don't have any package.json, right? You can see that there's no package.json here. So I can set up the branch vit here. So to set up vit again, it will be what? npm init. That's the first approach, right? What is the work of npm init? To create a package.json, right? And after it has created a package.json, we have this here. Hey, did I send you work? No. So rf. So because there's a node modules folder before, it's tried to extract out some things for me, and I didn't send it to do that. So node modules, and I can do this. Yeah. So everything should be blank here. So the first one is npm init, yes, and it should be blank. No package, no dependency. So you can see that there's no packages, there's nothing. Even the script tag, we don't have anything, right? And then the next thing is to do what? npm init, npm install vit, and then install vit as what? A dev dependency. So save -dev, right, and install it as a dev dependency. If this takes longer than it should, then it's my internet that has problem. But I want to believe it shouldn't take anything longer, close to what the other one was taking. It should never. I think so. But if you have good internet, it shouldn't be this. It shouldn't be this terrible, I believe. So if it's my normal internet, it should be less than 1 second. But this is not. Okay, this one is not bad. It's not bad. So this has installed some things, right? So if I do to view my package.json, so you will see now that what there is vit and there is 6.3.0. okay, also I can then do npm, right, npm install the canvas confetti. Now save canvas confetti as well. Okay, good. So now that we have that, you see I didn't even need to go to vit websites to do that. So if I check my package.json now, we should have a JS app, basic stuff, the vit here. So in our script again, we need to set up things here. So we need to set up a dev script, and that dev script is going to be what? Vit. Just type vit there. And then our build will be what? Our build script will be what? Vit what? Build. And that's all. So now it means that what? We can then run some scripts now. So this script are things that we can run. this script, there are things that we can run. And the interesting thing is I don't need my live server anymore, because at the end of the day too, our live server is limited. You don't just know the live server you are using in your IDE is limited. It doesn't even have any power at all. So now if you just do npm run dev, and if you press enter like this, it will it will attempt to use Vite now. You see that it is using Vite now, and then you will see now that it will now tell us that Vite is now running where now? On localhost 5173. So if we go to our browser now, so instead of using this one for our app again, it will be I can just bump this out of the way, and then I can just come here and come to localhost now? Localhost 5173 and press enter. So now it is still the same application, right? It is still the same application, but now it is Vite that is powering it, and you will see that the experience is smooth. The experience is a lot more smooth, fast. The application loads a little bit very fast. Thank you, my baby. So things are quite fast now with Vite processing things up. And if we check this now, you can create our to-do, right? It's still working. Now, where's our confetti line? Let's go back and add our confetti line. So we are importing our confetti, right? Import, right? Confetti. I think there should be a paste that I can do there. There should be a confetti from where now? Canvas confetti, right? And then immediately after they've created our to do, right, we can call the confetti. Is it confetti? I don't know, but at least you can call the confetti, and you can call it as a function this way, and you can save this now. Again, you will see that Vite is extra fast, extremely fast. Our application loads pretty fast, very fast compared to the way it was before. So you can say we want to code, and then you can create this now, and then you have this loading here. So again, Parcel might be slow, but don't get it mixed up and think that the new approach is slow or it's going to be hard on you. No, Vite is extremely fast. Like if there's something called fast, Vite is the definition of fast. Okay, and then we can do so. So you would notice now that this that could not work in the browser is now working. Why? Because what is powering everything that we are doing behind the scene is is Vite. So Vite is the bundler that is operating behind the scene, and the version of Vite that is working is Vite version 6.3.0 that is working behind the scene for us to do everything. And the new set of things that I've just introduced is a package.json. If you check your package.json again, there is the build script. So dev, right, and then there is the build. So if you want to host this application now, if you want to host it on maybe a place like Netlify, so you just need to cancel this and do npm run build, right? And it will create a folder called now? The folder will be The folder will be dist folder. If you look at it now, there's this dist folder that we did not have before. So our index.html is here, our CSS is here, and then our JS here. You can see that it's splitting our JS into multiple chunks. Can you see? It's splitting our JS into multiple chunks. This is our main JS. The size is 13 kilobytes. This is our sum. This is our CSS 0.9. So you can see that the thing there with Vite is it's helping us to package for proper production release now. And also we can then do Vite preview. I think we can do Vite preview. I think so. We should be able to do Vite preview. We could do Vite preview, or just to, I think I can cd into this, or I think I can do serve, and I can do a serve .dist folder. Yeah, I can start the content of my dist folder. And this is what? The same thing right here. So this is what it will look like at a production, at a production level, right? And everything will still work perfectly fine. So it will still work perfectly fine at what? A production level. So this is just an introduction to the new era. And the new era now is what? You'll be seeing more of like npm install more. You'll be seeing things like package.json more. And then you'll be seeing imports more. You'll be seeing and the reason for all of this is something that I've explained earlier into this class. I know that the latter part of this class is tough on all of you because this is the first time you're seeing it. But trust me, this is the new era. This is the new way to go. This is the new way front-end engineering will be going for you, right? And again, you see this is the reason why I can't just throw React at you guys. Trust me, if I throw React at many of you will just run away from this class. There is no way in the world I can just throw React at you guys and we are just doing imports and we are just doing package.json and I'm saying npm install and I'm just calling different terminologies that you have never seen before. But the goal for me as the instructor is to find the minimum barest approach to explain to you what npm is, what bundlers is, what npm run build, what npm run dev is. So this is just my own way to find as much way as possible to break this down to the barest minimum for you to be able to understand. And I can tell you, this foundation is necessary if you want to have a solid career. This foundation that we just talked about now is necessary if you want to have a solid career as a front-end engineer. So I think this is everything I have today. At least this is enough trouble to hold you till Friday. It is good trouble though. Good trouble to hold you until Friday. It is hot. True or false? It is hot. True or false? It is hot. True or false? But I believe you cope. You cope. I believe so. So again, I'm going to commit all of this again, so that you have access to it as well. It's on the repository. So git starters. I think gignore node and put it into a git ignore file now, and then git starters, right? And then I can do git new, okay, I think I need to do a git checkout, gco b feature. Git co.b is just git checkout -b, right? So for those of you who don't know that, it should be, this is the feature of it, and then we can do gnew, and then we can call this what? Vit setup, and yeah. So if you check GitHub, you should see all the branch on GitHub. If you check this, you will see all the branches on GitHub, both the parcel, both the main branch does not have any package.json, but if you check the parcel branch and the Vite branch, you will see all of them there. All right. So any question? I don't know. I could take some questions before. I could take some questions though. I could take some questions. How many of you want to go and rest your head? You just want to go and rest your head. I think we started with something like 27 and the class dropped to like 18. Is it because of the hotness of the JS that people ran away? But I think the thing you should note is that, okay, what's this course? Many people have gone to watch ball. Watch the match. Is it ball or match? Which one? Yeah, but I think the thing is, I will quickly try as much as possible to see if I can package the video. Let's see if I can package the video. And because I need to just export the video, and I export it, then I can send it to you guys. But I will try as possible to just immediately after this now. I will get to the. Let me stop the recording.